You're listening to the Spark Your Light podcast, episode number 268. Do it your way. This episode is for you if you're tired of hearing all of the things on the podcast and in the books that you should do things this way, and this is the secret, and this is the key, and you just want to figure out the way that's right for you. If that resonates with you, then you're going to love this episode. Thank you so much to SoulCycle for sponsoring today's episode. So as someone who loves to learn, constantly reading books, constantly listening to podcasts, that's how I found my way to the work I do today. And I often felt that someone else had the answers for me. So I would search and search and search. And anytime I had a goal, I would look for examples of people who had done it before and try to learn from them on how they achieved that goal. And there's lots of good that can be learned from others. And I absolutely believe it's so helpful to have mentors and those who have gone before you. But sometimes you can lose yourself in that process. You can start to lose your sense of your own intuition. And that's what I found myself doing. I found myself getting caught up in other people's strategies and other people's processes and other people's ways of doing things, and that I started to lose what made me unique and what made me special and what would work best for me, because I am a unique individual human being, and so are you. And if you're listening to this episode, you maybe too have experienced a time in your life, or maybe you're even in one right now, where you have lost some sense of self from giving up control of what works to other people, looking for the answers outside of you, forgetting that you have so many answers inside of you. So my goal in this episode is to bring you back to that internal knowledge so that you can find your own truths that are right for you. This is something that personally I did with speaking, actually. So as you guys know, I'm a speaker, and there's a lot of information out there about how to craft the best speech and how to be the best speaker. And as someone who wants to work really hard on the things that are important to me, on the things that I pursue, I was constantly consuming all of that content to the point where I didn't even realize that I had lost my sense of what made me me. And I was constantly searching to find all of the answers. How do I write the perfect speech? And I completely lost my sense of self through that. And I began to have the perfect speech that didn't excite me or spark my light. And I realized that I am most sparked not by creating the perfect speech, even though that's what everyone tells you you're supposed to do as a speaker. I am most sparked by sharing from my heart, sharing what's relevant, sharing my experiences. And that changes each time based on the audience I'm speaking to and what they need, what the event planner's looking for, and what I'm currently experiencing in my life, right? I'm going to have a different story based on the experience I might have had on my way to the speech. I might have had an experience in the airport that's really relevant and relate it to the information and the content. And so I actually let go of all of the things that other people said you should do. And immediately, I felt so much lighter. I started crafting speeches in my own style, in my own way, which is completely custom for events. And I spoke more from my heart and less from a script that I was supposed to follow. And I started falling in love with the craft again. And you're probably not a speaker, but you're probably someone who has goals and who sometimes loses your spark for your goals too. And maybe one of those reasons is because it's so easy to be caught up in all of the information that you should be following. And instead, if you can come back to your own sense of self, your own intuition, your own gifts, your way, if you can come back to your way of doing it, you can spark your light again. So I just want to remind you, as someone who has a podcast that I'm often giving you advice on or sharing, this is the way to do X or Y. My intention is never to tell you that my way is the right way. I want to present you with many different perspectives on how you can make change in your life, on how you can achieve your goals, on how you can manifest the things you want. And I want you to take what you need, to take what resonates with you. You might scroll through an episode title, and this is of my podcast or any podcast or any book, and think, I don't really need that today. And maybe 3 weeks from now, you really do need that thing. I want you to honor your journey and release the need to get caught up in having things be perfect, because they're not going to be. And when you really look at why am I obsessing over things being perfect, a lot can come out of that. So that's number one. And number two, it's also important to come back to your own intuition. Come back to your own inner compass that is guiding you, because you know you better than anyone else. So when people tell you this is the one way to manifest, it's just BS. It's not going to be the one way for you. Or this is exactly how I built a 6-figure business, or whatever it is the goal you're pursuing is. It's probably not going to be the exact same strategy for you, because you're a unique individual, and what worked for someone else isn't going to work perfectly for you. But it's helpful to learn and to get information from others who have gone before you. So your inner compass can be a filtering system for what really resonates with you, what you think will work for you, what sparks your light. And our intuition talks to us through feeling sparked, through getting that feeling of, I think that's a good next step for me. And so consume everything you want to consume, but don't blindly follow advice just because someone says you should, just because other people are doing it. Instead, go back to what excites me, what feels good for me, what is right for me, what is true for me. Go back to those things and allow that to be your compass, and do it your way. And when you do, nothing will stop you from achieving success and also from enjoying it. I think that's the key here. You might be able to follow someone else's way and get where you're going, but you probably won't be happy if it's not your way. So lean into what sparks your light, trust your intuition, and know that everything you want is on the other side of listening to your own inner compass. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Spark Your Light. I will catch you in the next episode.